I saw earlier in the scriptures, as Isaiah was saying, those that do not work, let them not eat. And so we find that anything that he was able, there were no food pantries, anything that he was able to acquire, he had to ask somebody else for it and hope that they would have a sense of compassion to give to him. But I'm sure that there were so many beggars around this gate that sometimes resources became very scarce. And so he had the experience sometimes of asking and not receiving. And I want you to know that your mental psyche is diminished every time you ask and you don't receive. Somebody don't know what I'm talking about, but when you speak to another individual, you bring yourself to the place where you got the holy boldness to speak to another person, and that person has the audacity not to speak to you. And then you, Michelle, you go on and the first thing, you know, I'm not the only person here that talk to themselves. You know, the first thing that you'll say to yourself, that's all right. It didn't matter anyway. But listen, about 12 o'clock at night, your right eyeball pops open. Then your left follows. And then, Mother Dilly, you say to yourself, so-and-so didn't speak to me. I spoke to them in the grocery store, and they didn't speak to me. And, you know, now it has caused my mind to wonder if they are all right. And what you don't know is that had nothing to do with you, had more to do with them. But you've taken ownership of their stuff. You know, I'm gonna put another title on it in a minute, but it's just their stuff, and you really ought to let them keep their stuff wherever they live at, wherever their yard is. You ought to let them keep their stuff there, and you spend your time on mindfulness, focusing on this moment. Thank you, Lord, for giving me one more sunny day. And so there, Elder Dr. Wynn, there was conversation going on here in the colonnade while they all laying around. See, they don't have nothing else to do. They don't have a job to be at. They don't have family. Families have already dejected them and brought them. I'm going to take you to the senior citizen lay place, and you just lay there all day. And so they began to talk about what they can't do. Lord have mercy. There's not one person there that wants to be debt free. So one day they were talking there, and they brought up about being debt free. They brought up about owning something. And they said, why in the world we want to own something? We have to pay taxes and listen, my daddy wasn't debt free, and so why in the world would I ever want to be debt free? And so, you know, they may have just heard a great sermon about being debt free, and they went to laying around that colonnade with other people who were just just in the spirit of doubt. And so there was never any positive conversation going on around the colonnade, and they were all playing the lottery. Pastor, where you get that at? Well, if you look at John 5 now, and you look at it close, you will understand that it only just takes a few numbers to play the lottery. But if you look closely there at the pericope, you will understand that once a year, the water in the pool was stirred. And the first person, can you say the first person? The first person that would step over into the pool would be made whole. And so that's the whole reason. See, sometimes you see folk laying around and you judge them before you understand why they are laying. You see people that are broken and you judge them before you do a little research to see exactly why they are broken. Sometimes it don't have a whole lot to do with them. There were some other people earlier on in their families that had some baggage that has not been completely mitigated. So this man there, he's laying and there is negative conversation. And his circumstances begins to crystallize, or in other words, become normal. You ever seen anybody and listen what they were doing and what they were going through? It seemed strange to you, but it had become normal for them. Yeah. You will see them, and somebody will go back this afternoon and say, I ain't never seen a preacher that have folk laying in the floor, especially they see the picture and they don't get the video. Why in the world they were laying in the floor? They laying in the floor at Christian home now. Yeah. And so here, his circumstances and what he was dealing with had become normal behavior. I'm trying to take my time and let this be a slow rain because I want all the disciples to be on board. So let me go downtown for just a few minutes. Can I go downtown for just a few minutes? I know Deacon Harold Murphy worked for Carolina Power Light, and I know that Deacon Mary Clay worked for Carolina Power Light. So let's go back to about 1982, 83. My millennials, they looking because they're getting ready to learn. And so, people, Sister Sabrina, would work their job all week long. And they didn't have a cell phone. And most people didn't have a computer at the house. You just didn't have that kind of thing. And a lot of people didn't have a whole lot of resources, if I would be completely honest about it. There were people that were living from paycheck to paycheck. Listen, let me raise my hand, Sister Katie, because I was one of them. And so, yeah. And so, utilities, Sister Michelle, things of that nature, you couldn't pay them online because there was no line. Yeah, that's good, Victoria. And so, if you were, kind of well-to-do, I imagine you would do like Brother Earl Terry. You mail in your light bill at the beginning of the month. Listen, I don't know how many days it takes the mail system to get it to the power company and for the lady to go to the mailbox and get the check and bring it back. The weekend comes, she bring it back, and then she check it in, and then you get credit and all that kind of thing. But listen, what if your name is Christian Home and you ain't got them kind of resources? Well, you work your job all week and you get off about 4 o'clock and you scoot by the bank. You ain't got no debit card because no debit card is to be had. Few credit cards are floating around, but they don't go to people who live in the zip code of 27610. Now, you research that. I'll get back with you on that. I'm just telling you what I know. So now you went to the bank and you got that cash. You know, nobody wants your check, so forget about that. They got a big sign up there that said no checks. And so you go down there to Martin Street, the Union, and they got a long line there where you can pay your, yes sir, you coming to me, you come. I knew somebody was gonna get it. Yeah. And so you can pay your light bill, and you can pay your phone bill, and then Sister Sabrina, they had a phone booth outside of the the place that you would go into. They had no phones in there, and so what you do is you pay your light bill, and you're already in the grace period. Y'all looking at me like y'all been living in Apex all your time, but I know you haven't, and so you pay your light bill, and then you run back out to the telephone. You just, I paid my light bill today. And they say, okay, we're going to let your light stay on. And then you tell them the same thing about your phone bill. I just paid my phone bill. And they said, sure enough, say it ain't so. and so they said, okay, we're going to let your light stay on. And that line, Brother Reeves, listen, that line wrapped all the way around the corner. And some folk know what I'm talking about. And some folk didn't have no car, and so they had to catch a ride with somebody else. And that person might have been thinking they won't like Asante, who would help somebody else get up. They just went for themselves. And so, if you didn't make it there on Friday by 5 o'clock, it's going to be something more than cable off over the weekend. Didn't have no cable either. Just three channels: ABC, CBS, and NBC. There's only 3 channels that you had. And so, listen, if you didn't get there to pay your bills in person, things gonna be turned off. And Sister Mary Harris, I stood in that line. I'm ashamed to stand here and tell you that I was in that line. First Lady don't know nothing about that line. And listen, the night that we got married, I didn't tell her nothing about that line. But I thank God that I stood in that line. And you can imagine, Jay, there was a lot of conversation going on in that line. People were there for the sole purpose of paying their bills, but I learned a lot while I was in that line. And it was the colonnade. And one of the things that I learned, Sister Sabrina, that there was a better way. I said, I could possibly, I don't always want to be in this line. I don't always want to be, listen, I want to get to a place where I don't even have to know if my light bill got paid. And I'm just trying to pose this question: do you want to get well? All right, now let's go a little further. I've been downtown, and you all seen what's going on downtown, and you got an idea of what went on in this colonnade. Now, I probably would have paid no bills on Friday if I hadn't seen my parents run around and pay bills on Friday. Yeah? And so y'all looking at me strange, but some of y'all still getting gas out, going in the store to get gas. Yeah? You're not carrying any debit cards, anything. You still going in the store to get, you paying cash, and you're doing all of that. And I've told you to get your gas before the sun go down. But y'all out there at nighttime getting gas, and this is just not the season or the time to be doing that. Ask me after church why I advise you not to do that. Let me move on to my first point because I have diagnosed this man that was laying there, Sister Bob Pearson. You know, I've been having a lot of conversations with my therapists. I got 2 therapists, and congregation know that I got a couple therapists, and I didn't have a therapist before I got congregation. So you do the figure. My first point is this is a condition, the contagious, transmittable, communicable spirit of procrastinational inaction. And that's what this man had. Let me break that down. What he had was contagious. It was more contagious than COVID-19. You didn't even have to touch anybody to get the spirit of doubt that he had. All right? It was transmittable. All right? Now you know, I got people all the time, and then I got some other people that will be totally honest with me. I got some people that's always playing. All right? Always playing. And Pastor, how you know that they're playing? Because I see who they run with. Yeah. And see, they will run with certain folk and say, well, I'm the light in the crowd. The devil is a liar. Yeah, all y'all doing the same thing. Huh? Yeah. See, you know, my daddy and my mama and my grandma, they used to drag me to the fire station. I had to sit in the car while they vote. And they said, you sit here and you better not move. We going in here to vote. And I had to sit right there and watch them vote at the one fire station. We didn't have all these polls and places to go. And you go there and you be there on time. My dad would get off work early so that we got to go vote. All right. And that was a precious right and privilege that we had. And so when it comes voting time, listen, I can ride my bicycle to vote, but I'm gonna get there. You can understand. And so this thing was transmittable, and it is also communicable. It is a spirit of procrastinational inaction. All right. Now, why you say that, Pastor? Well, I'm so glad that you asked, because this man found himself in a situation, and he could not walk. And every time he was thinking about walking, somebody would get in front of him. Another 6 months would go